Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Zuriel. So Zuriel, welcome, dude.
Hey man, thank you for having me. Really excited and looking forward to get to do this. So
Okay, sweet man. Yeah, really excited to have you too because you are going to be someone that is super rare and everyone's going to be excited to hear more about your type. So if you could please share to everyone what your full type is.
yeah, so I am an INFP jumper, sleep blast, consume play, audio MFs, and social type number three.
Okay, awesome, dude. And what did you think and how did you feel when you got your typing results?
Yeah, so it was a long process. Um, I for one, to skip to the point, I did kind of get my type right. I said I was a INFP jumper, or I was thinking I was some sort of ISTJ, or I'm sorry, I was thinking I was an INFP or some sort of ISTJ jumper. Um, and but I went through the motions like everyone else. Started out, I'm a ENTP or something like that, and then you go through the motions. I was thinking I was some sort of EJ, ESTJ, ESFJ, something like that, and but then it was during the ops typing process where they started asking people to fill out a doc, um, where I almost treated it like it was a journal. And so I would say on this day, and I put down my notes, but then I'd come back to it on another day and say, this is the next day, and this is how I'm feeling about my type. And so I kept on going through that. And then I'd come back to the doc, and then all of a sudden, this looks a lot like sleep. I just keep on coming back and trying to refine and figure out in a savior state. And so after that, I was able to kind of figure out that first animal there. And then uh, there was also a part of me that was thinking I was like a savior TI as well. But I there was a lot more movability on I guess movability on the truth, I guess, and a lot more emotion than what is associated with like the TIs. And so uh, just going away from my own biases and just sticking to the math, regardless of what I think I am, I was able to kind of conclude that I was this type. But it was, I mean, it was a long process for me to be ready because I wanted to make sure that like I'm not just spilling out a whole bunch of stuff and Dave and Shan give me what you got. I actually wanted to come in and like for myself, I wanted to get it right. So yeah, that was really important to me. And there's a judgment factor there too. I didn't want to, man, this is a horrible guess, like stuff like that too, being a single decider. So there was always that kind of fear too. I wanted to come in knowing that I kind of knew a little bit of what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's really crazy how you were doing the SI journaling and then with the FI journaling your feelings, and your behavior and emotions and stuff. So that was really cool that you did that. And I guess that was like what really pinpointed that you were this specific type that you got because you were doing it already.
Yeah, no, yeah, being able to have it visual like that, I can see what's going on. I'm able to process like that. So it really kind of honed down and made the guesses a little bit more refined to what my type was. So yeah, definitely having that there was made it a little bit easier.
All right, dude. So I definitely have a lot of questions for you because we are very opposite type wise. The only thing we have in common is our middle. So we both have blast and consume in the middle. And we're both MF. So our sexual modality is exactly the same. Now, the biggest difference is you're gonna have what they call a sissy swing with a double feminine NT play, while I have a Hulk syndrome with a double masculine SF sleep. So I'm kind of curious what that double masculine SF sleep looks like on the front end, and also having it double activated as well. So it's not just double masculine, it's double activated. So it's gonna be super intense. I'm quite curious, what you're like, what your day-to-day is like, and what your dynamics is with the tribe being like super like into your inner world the entire time. So can you just share with us you know some basic things to start, and then you can go deeper as we go on what life is like having that double masculine, double activated SF sleep. first.
Yeah, yeah. So, definitely, I would say when I'm not in my masculine, if I just having that take the wheel, and I come back and kind of uh, recap almost a day or a conversation or whatever like that, and it would be like, yeah, I can really be a lot emotionally. I will get triggered by something someone says or does, or and all of a sudden I'm 0 to 60, and in terms of like frustration or anger, like it just seems to come out of nowhere. My voice will get loud, I'll get more animated, and like that's just happening all the time. I got various things here that I could reference. Like here's my journal right here, just and like there's so many pages in here where I'm just like, I don't know why I'm angry all the time. And so that's kind of like the insight into that, and it's happening it's really happening all the time, and uh I really have to try and counter that. Shan talks about setting up little traps for yourself and stuff like that. Like I have to set up traps for like these really intense emotions, these really intense ways of talking about things. If I'm and I guess in my tribe, I'm always known as this guy who I'm the passionate guy. Like when people describe me, I'm the passionate guy, and that's absolutely true. Um, and then to go further on to what you're saying, that kind of sissy swing where it's like you get this really intense version of me, and then all of a sudden I have that like IP swing where it's like I'm everything's my fault. Um, I'm I'm ashamed. I'm embarrassed of myself. Um, uh, and that gets really it's almost like the counterweight. I'm so heavy on the top and like and intense and angry or frustrated at times, and then that swing almost feels like it's just as hard on the other side. And it's yeah, it's the opposite. I'm just uh it, it's tough to say, but it's a reality where it's like I can be really intimidating to people, and I can definitely push, but then like if you're a dude who pushes back, I'm gonna I'm gonna like I'm gonna retreat a little bit because like I can't um physically I can't go there with you. I'm a skinnier guy. Physically I can't go there with you, so it's knowing my boundaries too. But also like just also the step back is like just the realization mentally, like, oh shoot, I was really frustrated and angry. I don't even want to be like that. I was just unconsciously letting the emotions take the wheel. And so there's a part of that where it's knowing my boundaries, but there's also a part of that that's like, oh shoot, I just woke up a little bit and came aware to myself. I don't want to be angry like that. I don't want to have that effect on you. And that swings are really intense.
Right. And especially because you're an INFP with that TE at the bottom. So there's gonna be a part of you that really wants to connect with people through work, right? With a TE. And you're also a social type 3, so you're like a specialist. So like work is gonna be very important to you, and we can
It is.
deep dive into that. You know what? Why don't we just talk about that? Because I think this is a natural transition, and we can go back again to the sleep later. Um, so you have sissy syndrome with the double feminine NT play at the end. Um, T at the bottom, meaning you want to connect with people through work. Specialists, a social type number 3. So work is very important to you, especially your little niche there, and especially you have flex activated too. So you want to flex a little bit at like how good you can produce your work, right?
Yeah.
Um, so with all these factors, how do you feel about being so, because social type number 3 is the most introverted of all the social types, and then you are almost the most introverted type. If you were sleep consumed, you would be more introverted, but still pretty introverted with that double activated sleep, but still wanting to connect with people through work. So what's going on there there with you, dude? Like, how are you processing all this like different like parts of yourself?
Sure. Yeah, so I just thought of something else too. The the sissy syndrome at work would be like, you we're all projecting out our demons. And so for me, it comes in the form of like I'm projecting out that uh, the tribe doesn't want to help me. I'm projecting out that I'm conveniencing the tribe with my dumb questions. I think it was and I think it was I'm forgetting the name here. One of the INFPs, it was Bo Burnham in his ops video. One of the snippets they put out there, it was like he describes it as it's like everyone's equestrian and I just some idiot that just jumped on a horse. It's like everyone around me is really good and I'm not. And so here I am. I'm so afraid to ask these questions, and when I become aware of it, that sissy syndrome really comes out where it's like you got this confident person on the front end, this whatever, and then on the back end it's like, dude, you're like really nervous to ask for help and really nervous to ask for questions. You're just projecting out all the time that like no one wants to help you. Like, oh my God, this incompetent idiot. Like, what is like like and so it makes it really hard to and why I have to spend so much time preparing, making sure I figure out that whatever I'm asking questions about, because I don't want, like, the stupider the question, the higher anxiety I have. And so I think in work that is the like the sissiness that's really visible. That's like it looks in a demon state. You're going to be able to see that demon state because it's like, dude, you're leading meetings, and then all of a sudden when it comes to asking questions, you're just like really timid and really apologetic and really like hesitant, and you got people like really trying to push, like, dude, it's okay, like, I have no problem, like, ask away. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. And so that's really seen there. And then from like a work standpoint, specialist standpoint, um I'm a network engineer. Not only that, but I'm a senior network engineer. I'm like heavily relied on. A lot of the changes I do are very um, high. Like a lot of people are paying attention to what I'm doing. From the very top of the department down, it's I'm bringing down the network. I'm taking care of network security, and so everyone knows what I'm doing. And so as a single decider IP, I'm like, oh my God, every single time I have to make these types of changes, um, it just goes further into the anxiety that I feel. I got to change this Thursday. It's going to bring down the network to something very important that is all across California, that like a bunch of people use, and it makes me so anxious every single time because everyone's watching and everyone's just going to be there to project out these demon tribe type of things where it's just like, oh my God, look at this idiot, oh my God, he doesn't know what he's doing, oh my God, this is the senior engineer, this is what you got. And of course it's all me. A lot of these guys are just probably on their phone just waiting for the call to end, like they don't really even care. But from to get back to the social three kind of like specialist, um, even though what I'm doing isn't in my I don't care about being a network engineer. This is my, I've heard Shan talk to another IP who's an engineer on, I think it was like one of her live shows. Like, you found your workhorse or whatever like that. So this is my workhorse. It pays the bills and everything like that. But there's still that part where, like, I want to be good at my job. I want to be, and it also benefits me to be good at my job too, because the the easier or the more knowledgeable I become at my job, then the easier the work becomes. And so it doesn't feel so heavy on, I guess, the TE all the time, or the non-FI all the time. And I can spend more time doing the FI, but the FI through the work so that I can spend more time on the FI. I don't want to just complain about doing the work all the time. Why not get better at the work so that you can it can become easier, which is ultimately better for the FI. And that kind of aligns with that. I feel like that social type 3 too, where I want to be good at it. Um, but there is also FI motives, demon work, demon tribe work motives behind that as well. And yeah, I think all that really makes sense with me, but from a specialist standpoint, but it's still in the realm of the IP-ness, the INFP-ness. And so, yeah, curious your thoughts on that. So,
Yeah, for sure. I have several thoughts I want to ask you. The first one I was thinking though, because I'm like, obviously lead any was like when you kept saying IP-ness, I was like, haha, funny. It kind of like it sounds so funny. It sounds like
oh,
yeah, yeah. But just immature joke. But anyways, like I was so the second part is yeah,
I got you,
yeah, just
I got
immature.
you, I
But
got
like
you.
I was thinking, I was like, haha, that's funny. You're saying that. But anyway, the second part though, I was thinking is like, you know what, dude? You're probably the best person for this job because A, you are infodom, so you're double checking relentlessly to make sure that your work is as accurate as possible. And I will ask you questions about your blast and your consume and the balance between that because you do have those in the middle, which is great. And I think you those two are your superpowers. Also because as an INFP, you have FI and NE as your first and second function, and then that's going to be your
Are,
third animal, right? So
mm,
even
mm.
though it has the potential to be stronger, you have it as third. And then the SITE blast, you have that as your third and fourth function, but you have that as your second animal. So it's almost like it's perfectly in the middle, having those in the middle. So we'll discuss that in a second. But the other factor also involved is you're also a double observer. So the things is not going to be the worst thing ever for you. So I don't see you you know, like messing up your work very frequently just because you're double observing it plus infodom, so you have all the parts that's needed to succeed at this position. I can see where the insecurity is coming from though, having that double feminine anti play at the end, because that means when it comes to figuring things out, it's going to be extremely insecure for you, especially you have it as fourth. And that also involves asking dumb questions because part of NT play is solving the problem with the tribe, right? So that means you do have to go to the tribe to use that NT play. And if you are kind of charging up inside with that sleep of yours before you come out to the tribe, then you are not essentially maximizing the usage of that NT play. And the thing is, when it comes to NT play, and coming across as someone that is asking too many dumb questions or coming across as stupid, um, the thing is, if you prime the tribe first, then it's okay. And what I mean by prime the tribe first, it's like, hey guys, I'm gonna be asking a lot of dumb questions right now. Please bear with me, and then people are like, oh, okay, lots of dumb questions. It's okay, and they're gonna be like, dude, there's no such thing as dumb question. And now you're in a free what do you call it, like a safe space to ask those quote unquote dumb
Sure.
questions, right? And then you can engage the tribe in that anti play, which a lot of people with anti play actually enjoy. I think I don't know. When you actually get into it, do you find it enjoyable to like problem solve with a tribe and go through that whole process of doing that?
Yeah, yeah. So really, it's like it's really the first initial kind of anxiety. It's the fear of jumping in the pool because you don't want you're afraid of the cold, but then once you're in the pool, it's like, oh, this is great. And so once I can, similar to this interview, similar to my submitting my video to ops, similar to a lot of this stuff, it's just like once you start having so many occurrences where uh, I nothing bad happened. I asked a dumb question and nobody made me feel bad about it. It was all fine. They actually asked me more questions because they wanted to make sure that I knew what I was talking about because that's a bigger problem. And just making sure that I was good. And it actually had nothing to do with the anxiety that I had. And so yeah, once I can get past that initial anxiety, then we're in a space where it's like, okay, he's going to be asking these questions. And for what you said right there, I'm having all these memories come up where it's like, maybe the plays are doing that in a savior state where it's just like, hey, this is probably a dumb question. they're not awkward about it. They're just saying it, because that's what you say or whatever like that. But for me, yeah, it's I'm about to ask a dumb question. I am sorry for making this such a hard time for you. I mean, I'm not saying that, but these are the feelings, these are the anxiety that I have for that. And so, yeah, I'm gonna have to take that down, not write that down, not because I didn't know that, but because like um, part of me understanding the leverage that play has or the power that play has and being able to tap in that more, saying something like that, hey, I'm about to ask a bunch of dumb questions to put people in the mindset of, like, hey, these are going to come up. That kind of gives me like a script to say, and I can add that kind of to um, my tool belt for how to kind of engage in that more. I think that um, to I have some examples, not to make them too long, but it's like you know it took me 10 years to get through college. And it wasn't because, and a lot of that was I was just stuck in FI land, playing the video games, doing all this, trying to figure out myself, a younger version of me. But then it was like I need to put myself in gear and figure things out. And I would spend hours and hours in the library, but doing what? Studying by myself because I'm not asking any questions. I don't want to ask these dumb questions. I don't want, to get judgment from my peers or whatever like that. And so, the last 3 years of college, I ended up really turning my grades around, really figuring things out because what happened, I started being in study groups. I started asking a bunch of questions and doing that. And that's when my grades really bumped up. That's when I started figuring things out way faster. And so when I'm in work now, when I am taking too long to figure things out, what ends up happening is then a deadline comes and then I get really desperate and all these dumb questions come out all at once. My anxiety's high. And then I end up figuring out things very quickly working with the tribe, but it comes from desperation and not because play is a tool in a savior state that I can just tap into. And so I think one of your other interviews, I think it was like Savannah, the ENTJ, I think it was. Like
Right.
she talks up, even though she has consumed last, she talks about using the play as a means of the consume. And so it's like I'm doing the consume and putting that into my knowledge and doing the sleep, doing the consume, doing the sleep, but like I'll never, and then there's that feminine end there. So I'm like, I never feel like um solid with the concepts with this new information that I'm picking up. And so what ends up happening is I need to leverage that play and that solidifies the N. And then I can put that into my OI. And then all of a sudden I have my sleep is now my superpower. And now I'm sleep with some solid play. And if I've seen it, now I got this the concepts are solid. It matches up with the consume that I've had because the consumer will be like, no, I figured this out. I think this is what's going on here with this new information from my job. I think that's what's going on, but because I'm not doing the play, I never feel grounded in these new concepts that I'm learning for my work because it's network security. There's hackers everywhere. Everyone's trying to. It's something where new information is part of the job. You're not just going to have a set amount of information and you're done. You go to work with just that known information and it never updates. I'm constantly having to update, which is constantly requiring me to be grounded in all these different new concepts that I've never SI worked out myself. And so leveraging that play as another to solidify that kind of like feminine end to me and then sleep with everything else, now it really allows me to be solid. But the problem is I just have to one, remember to use the play, remember, and then number two, um, yeah, like understand the leverage and the power that comes with play and just get through that anxiety, jump in the pool, and then hey, actually water was fine. and I can just swim around with the tribe and do the NT play and figure things out and save a bunch of time getting through college in 10 years because I'm just so afraid to do the play. That's ridiculous. Like that's I how much years could I have shaved off of that just by asking some questions? I know that now. Ops has solidified it for me. Um, a lot of your panel interviews with the other Delta quadrants on like, or with their NT play and stuff, like to me, that was like crowdsourced play. It was like it's really hard to be able to if I'm doing play, I'm asking people about like a very specific problem that I'm going through for work or whatever like that. But if I'm never asking anyone, I'm scouring the internet for other people's questions. I'm trying to extract, okay, this is kind of like the problem I'm going through, but not exactly. I'm never going to find the answer to my exact problem. And so it was nice to have the crowdsourced play on the panel interviews that you were going through. I was like, oh my goodness, this is solidifying the concept to really go in on doing the play. And there's that sleep aspect too, where it's like, I don't want to waste my energy trying to go into doing something because like I'm gonna come out at the end, I'm gonna be like, I just wasted all this time. It's I don't feel like I've learned anything, or I feel like that I just wasted all this time, wasted all this energy to go down a path that didn't lead me to the solution that I wanted. But now you have these panel interviews, and I'm like, wait, these people are all in my quadrant. This is NT play. They're talking exactly what I'm going through. Okay, this solidifies it. Now I can start doing the play. And it was literally like a light switch. I think I watched a lot of these panel interviews like a week or two ago. I turned the play straight on. I've been way more extroverted. I've been talking to the tribe, engaging with the tribe with like what they're doing on social media and stuff like that. I don't do that stuff. I'm posting more like about what I'm doing. Like I'm going out and I'm just doing more things because it's like this is already what I've consumed, but now that I have the play involved, it's just solidifying everything. And now it's like the FI's on board, the sleep's on board. Like let's go full speed ahead. Like this is you put your energy in this. This is what you put your energy into. So yeah.
Oh man, that's so good. That makes me feel good doing those interviews. I didn't know that it had that kind of effect on you. Like your anti-play got charged up by just watching them. That's awesome, man. That I didn't know that can have an effect on you. Actually, like now that I'm talking to you about this, I bet you there's audiences that have said who has never reached out to me, but they probably had the same effect to them, you know. So they're probably using it for that effect too. So it's kind of good to get that feedback from you because like I think like oh, they're actually useful for like that specific quadra, you know, because we're in the same quadra, right? We're both part of Delta Quadrant
Yeah.
family, you know. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, that was actually another reason why, not only just from like if I enjoy like learning about this system, from a self-health aspect, from a sleep aspect, just being able to put my energy into something that I feel like will actually come out with the end goal or solution that I'm wanting by tapping into these things. It gives me SI steps that I can follow and create for myself. So I'm not, I can just follow this. But yeah, there's also that other aspect too, which is really what I want, which is like there's probably some Savior sleep play lasts out there that are going through the same type of thing. And it's just like, Dave talks about it too, where it's like the play lasts are like, the sleep first play lasts are like really processed. And I'm like, man, I feel like I got some stuff to say that could really like maybe help out some people that are going through similar issues. And yeah, leverage that play. Like, don't waste your time. Like, definitely leverage that play.
yeah, 100%, dude. I think the two biggest thing that I'm thinking about with you guys with the play last is who do come to do the interviews is number one, it gives other play last people the courage to come out and do the interview because they're like, oh my God, that person, he's play last is doing the interview. I bet you've been thinking about it for a while, and those other play last people are probably thinking for a while. But when you see a play last person pull the trigger in it, they're like, like fuck yes, I'm gonna do it too, kind of
Yeah,
deal. And then
feminine play, feminine play. You
Yeah,
know, like it should be, it should, I mean, I have the blast there, obviously. So there's some extrovertedness there too. But like, yeah, feminine play, like this should be hard for me, you know, putting myself
yeah,
out there, IP feminine play, like, yeah, definitely, man. Definitely get out there. You people get out there, have some fun, enjoy yourself, get out there. Yeah, man. And skip ahead in terms of figuring things out. Absolutely. The play has some power to it and absolutely leverage it.
100%. It has lots of power, in my opinion, the play. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like that you learn a
Absolutely.
lot from the tribe for sure. And you make friends too, so it like, has like a double benefit too, right? So it's actually
Absolutely.
a good thing, right? And then the other thing too is yeah, you are very processed. So I'm listening to you talk right now, and I'm hearing some very interesting insights just coming from your specific type. Your type is also very interesting in a sense that you're like an INFP, but you're very sensory for an INFP, right? So like you're almost like the un-INFP INFP, you know, like
Sure,
having that
sure.
sleep and blast on the front end, which is very like SI dominant, double activated
Mm-hmm.
SI on top of you know, double activated FI also. So it's very interesting as well. I do want to transition real quick to your middle animals before we go back to your decider animals because I think definitely decider animals we can fall into a rabbit hole forever. And like I said, in the future,
Sure.
you are invited to a second interview in down the line,
Yeah,
and we can go
absolutely.
dive into the other stuff. So you'll have more stuff to process obviously after we do this interview, so which is good. Um, so I want to go to the middle animal real quick because I think the middle animals are really important. My first comment before I ask you the question though is I do feel like you are a pure-blooded um decider. And I say that because your first animal is an IP animal, which is sleep, right? And then your last animal is play, which is like an EJ animal, right? So that's the first part. And then the second part is your middle ones, like consume and blast. Those two are, you know, more of an observer animal. So you have them in the middle. So you know, so you not only are your cognitive functions decider, your animals is also very decider-ish and also double masculine in the front end, right? So
Yes.
yeah, you're plus social type number three, you know, demon friends, right? So it has like you're like a super decider, which is I think is that's why I'm very happy to hear what your perspective is, being like a super decider. So that's why I want to go to the observer land real quick before we go to the
Yeah.
decider land again. Just to touch on real quick. So um so you have ST Blast as your savior, and then you have NF Consume as your demon, but it's a minor demon. It's not the worst thing. It's also your first two animals or first two functions. Sorry. Um, so I see a lot of people who are consume last have this issue, and also a lot of EJs have this issue. So maybe they'll learn something from you when they hear your perspective. So, um, and I've never struggled with this personally. Like it wasn't like the worst thing ever, just because I have it the same positions as you. You know, having in the middle. So the way I've seen it is ST blast is how you get things done, how you execute, and how you proceed in life. But without NF consume to guide it, it is completely worthless and you can fall off a cliff. Not completely worthless, sorry. Like you'll still make a living. Okay, but in terms of like living a life with meaning and purpose and going the right direction, without that NF consume, the ST blast will aim you at the wrong place. The NF consume is kind of like what um points you to the right trajectory, essentially, the right goal, right?
Yeah.
However, that NF consume comes from gathering new life experiences. That's how you find out what your trajectory should be. And you do have it in a hobby state, so it's not missing. And you do have it as your first two functions, as I constantly repeated. Uh, so how do you balance those two where like you use the NF consume enough that you know, hey, you know what? This gives me meaning and purpose, and then use the ST blast to like execute your way towards that trajectory. And also, if you want to add a little bit of a bonus, having that SF sleep there, really prioritizing the right pathway, you know, with that
Yeah.
hyper focusing on the right pathway that brings you the most joy and meaning in your life. So the floor is yours for that.
All right. Yeah, so I think I want to start out by saying the problem that comes with it is that you know, I s- there's still this like I guess FI ideal or pressure I'm putting on myself. Um, I have I have a 5 month old or a 6 month old daughter. She's about to be 6 months old next week, and so you know, uh, it was a lot of reading books, trying to prepare for, and then making sure I'm getting my life together. Um, but th that that's like it's to me it's like FI driven, but it's not it's not it's not it leaves out the consume, and the consume to me is like hobbies are golf. I love to do like hip hop dancing, um, and I love basketball, hikes, all these types of things. And so you'll end up maybe seeing me from the outside, and it looks like I'm doing a bunch of things that I want to do, but then I have this void where like it's almost as like I'm projecting out like it seems like you're doing what you want to do all the time. It's like why aren't you like happy? And it's because I'm not actually doing what I guess gives me joy or gives me happiness, which would be because I can go a long time without prioritizing those hobbies like golf, that the dancing, the whatever it is, watching movies, whatever. And so I think the trouble is um, remembering to prioritize that, um, because I'm still kind of doing what I want to do from an FI perspective, but it can be draining because, like I said, I'm not doing really, I'm not spending the time doing the things that are for me, that provide me that joy. And so once I kind of saw the math there, then it was like from a mental health aspect, like from a depression aspect, whatever it might be. It's like I have to schedule and make time for these things, and really being able to like differentiate, like I'm doing what I want to do. I'm reading these books, I'm spending time with my daughter, I'm trying to be a good husband, I'm trying to do all these things, but it's like there's this void for me. Where is this void? Why is this void existing when I'm doing what I want to do? And it's like I'm doing ideally what I want to do with like respect to the tribe, or I'm doing ideally what I want to do from respect to, I don't know, I feel like I'm specializing in husband, I'm specializing in father, I'm specializing in all these things. And it's like, yeah, sometimes you need to just let that go and like get out and play some golf. Go to the dance studio and learn this, you know, minute dance in this hour session and go home. Because at the end of the day, it's like once I've done those things, all of a sudden it's like I'm really proud of myself. I'm really happy. I feel really fulfilled. And it's very simple things that I've kind of had to take a look at other like Savior consumes as well, and doing like very at the top, like doing that all the time. And I look at that and I want to, there's a judgment there too. I want to judge like you're, like, and so, so being able to like, for one, from a single decided issue, okay, take a step back, guy, and then number two, focus on those things because, that masculine FI is strong. Um, if I'm leaving that void on hobbies and things like that, that takes away my ability to have a good mood around my wife, my daughter, and all these my work and everything like that. So if I'm making sure all these cups are filled, then it just it aligns with what I want from the FI. I don't want to just specialize in father, specialize in husband or whatever like that. I want to give them a good experience too. I can't just do it my way without this appealing to the tribe aspect. And so making sure that I am doing the consume, setting a plan for myself. Big thing with me is like I can get I feel mentally, I feel like I'm busy all the time, or I feel like there's this there's always the threat of chaos, you know, and my daughter's going to need me, wife's going to need me, whatever like that. There's always going to be that threat of chaos. But if I can schedule out in advance, you know, then all of a sudden I have something on the books that the tribe's going to be okay with. And I know that I feel better knowing that it's just on the books and I'm not just trying to uh, just impromptu, okay, I'm going to golf right now because that doesn't work. There's going to be tribes, maybe some tribe issues there too. And so just putting it out and scheduling it out in the future allows me to feel better about the tribe aspect, but also it makes me feel better knowing that like, okay, I'm not doing the consume, like I'm not doing what fulfills me right now, but it's on the books. And so that keeps that like void or sadness at bay, and I all of a sudden it gives me something to look forward to. But it's just remembering to really schedule that, and I can do that, and usually when I do that, it always comes to fruition. But yeah, just remembering to do that, and I can do that.
It sounds like you're apprehensive to do the consume because when you were younger and you had trouble finishing school at 10 years, you did way too much consume, and then you felt like maybe you wasted your time, and now you're kind of like scared to go to that world again. But really, there is a space where you can do it in a healthy state. Actually, very good and very much like an energizing point of view where it recharges you, and then you can bring that
Yes.
energy back to the tribe as well when you're with your wife and your kid. And it's actually like a good thing, so it's not like a bad thing. So it doesn't have to be like what happened when you were younger. um
You know what? To your point, sorry to cut you off. To your point, like that is such um it's such a fear of mine. It really is a fear of mine. Um uh because I went so heavy when I was younger, and it caused it, like, to this day getting through college is like top one, two things, accomplishments in my life, just because of what I had to go through, what I had to learn for myself. A lot of that was because I've been with my wife for 18, oh no, 19 years now.
wow.
And so, yeah. And so that didn't have its troubles, but my wife is absolutely a person where, like, typical IP story, like the tribe's going to eventually leave you behind. And, you know, you can have your fights or whatever like that with your significant other or whatever like that. But what really changed it was like, oh, like you you're serious. You're like, I felt it. You're like, we're not, you're gonna leave me. And then that's when, like, she's the top of my FI. My daughter and my wife are at the top of my FI. And once that became real, that was all of a sudden everything clicked into place. And the motivation for getting through college and all this stuff was doing it for them. And
Oh,
so,
I see.
being there's always that fear that that especially from a sleep like energy standpoint. I talk about my sleep like it's a when I'm talking to myself about my sleep. Uh, it's always like my sleep is like this little joker devil, and it's just like, hey, you woke up with this kink in your neck, how about you do nothing at all today? Like, and it's just like, and so I was on to talk about too. So I have an illness. I have lupus. I've had it for 23 years. Um, uh, it's pretty intense being in a male. It's pretty rare. It's most common in women, but I've gone through like chemotherapy multiple times. I deal with like fatigue and joint and muscle soreness, which aligns with my type. There's always this back in my head, like, did my lupus make my type, or am I a
Yeah,
different type? And you know,
no, that's a good question. Yeah, are you your type because of you're susceptible to this kind of stuff, you know?
right, right, right. And so, like, it's really hard to deal with the sleep because it's putting on the brakes. I'm even I and I need to put the brakes on myself from a health standpoint. Like a kink in my neck or a headache could mean something. Like it actually is a good thing to, like, hey, maybe you're pushing yourself too hard, maybe you're too stressed, maybe you're whatever. But then, like, I have health goals. I want to exercise. I want to work out. Am I working myself too hard? Do I have to listen to that little, masculine sleep that's always wanting to put the brakes all the time on everything because of some little issue like, hey, you got a tiny kink in your neck. Why don't you do nothing at all today? And it's just like, okay, motherfucker, like, no, you're not going to get me today. But wait, should you get me today? Should I relax? Should I take it easy? But I've come to, for the past couple of weeks, I've really been able to solidify a lot of these concepts, like I said, with the panel interviews and the crowdsourced play with all these
Right.
delta issues you were going through. It's the sleep is very useful for my sleep, for figuring out problems, for organizing and stuff like that. But at some point in time, like there's just nothing left to process, and I have to cut it off. And it gets to a point where I feel like I've determined what my path is, what I need to do next. I want to exercise. I want to eat healthy. I want to do all these things, not just because that's what I want, says my type, but it's also beneficial for my illness. And so like, which affects my mood and all this stuff. Dave talks about it all the time. Like, it's really it's getting to that TI via FITE, and doing the ice baths and doing all these things to kind of figure out your mood on a sciencey level more so than a philosophical level. And so it's it's really being honest with myself. It's really choosing and I feel like there's IP videos on ops 2 where it's like the FIs have to choose what they want. So right now I do have a kink in my neck. I have a headache going up my neck. It's like, hey, maybe I should take it easy. But you know what I have it for that? Right after this, I'm gonna go and put some like little menthol essential oil type of stuff because that helps soothe the pain. I'm gonna go do some deep breathing with some meditation music, to get my breathing down and stuff like that. So I have, to me, kind of like TI tools that I can leverage. But with my illness, with my type, it just requires me to do that way more often. And if I want to be this person who is going to, I don't want my illness to take away from me having a fulfilled life. And that means I have to go after my goals in spite of all of that. And that means that I'm going to have to fight against my sleep, even though actually my sleep in a savior state can be problematic. Shoot, I don't know if you're just being a little whiny baby sleeper or if I actually should relax. But I don't have to sleep process that. I have TI tools in my belt. I do the ice bath. I take a run. I do the deep breathing. I do the meditation. I do the yoga. I just have to continue to do that all the time so that I can keep myself in a state because I'll get joint and muscle pains from having active lupus. And I'm sorry, just to preface, lupus is an autoimmune disease, and it is where your immune system sees your body as kind of like a threat, and then it attacks it. And so in my case, it can be joints, it can be muscles. In the most severe case, which mine is, my immune system attacks my kidneys. I have kidney disease. I have all kinds of issues with that. It gives me like high blood pressure, all this types of things. And so with people with normal kidney disease, you see them like go through stages one, two, three, four, or whatever. But with lupus and having something attack it, like you can go from one to three, like, and you can just straight up skip stages. And so, yeah, it's like I have actual real concerns that would make me listen to the sleep, but I have to be really honest with myself and make sure I'm eating healthy, which lowers that susceptibility to joint and muscle pain, which affects my mood. Um, and then as long as I'm doing what I know that I should, a lot of the symptoms are kept at bay, and then that allows me to continue to pursue and play golf and do all these things because like I mean I've gone through joint and muscle pains in my shoulders where it's like all of a sudden I can't pick up my daughter for like multiple days at a time because it feels like I've sprained wherever the affected area is. And so like that I like but I also know I was eating really bad for like 2, 3 days straight. And I know that these foods or this processed sugar or whatever like that is going to make these symptoms come up. And then it's almost like I have that like swing internally at myself where it's like, you mother, like, this is your fault. This is your fault. You knew this would happen and you still indulged. You knew it. And then I'll just stay there like, um, in that self-hate, you know, but now that I have a lot more understanding of things, the crowdsourced play, like I said, I can really drive home on like I already knew that being healthy and all this stuff was going to keep my systems down, but it's like something about it just solidified it, and that's like, yeah, no, I am forget the single decider issues. If somebody's going to have a problem, I'm also part Filipino. My wife is Filipino. She's like a like they have all kinds of different foods. They make the food for you. I have fear of like, well, if I don't eat this food, I'm going to be disrespecting you. And then it's like, but this food is going to give me symptoms that I don't want. And so I'm choosing, these are my health is immovable. This is why I'm doing all these things. And so like keep the sleep at bay. Sometimes, most of the time, the sleep is just a little whiny, and I'm actually good to continue forward with the exercise or whatever like that. And I don't need to go all gung ho on the exercise either. Today's a 10-minute meditation day because that's all my body will allow. I'm gonna do that. So it's having the movability, I guess, from an observer, double observer standpoint too. That movability with the plan. I'm not IJ like, oh my God, I'm going crazy because of this chaos. I can move with that too. So sorry, super blasty right there, but yeah, tell me your thoughts. Tell me your
Yeah,
thoughts.
it's okay. Your sleep loss. It's people want to see what that's like, and there you go. That's what it looks like, guys. Um, so yeah, I have a bunch of thoughts. First thought is uh definitely good blaster lessons there about lupus. I was like, okay, there you go. There's like that SD blast. That was good. The sleep stuff was good. It was I resonated a lot with what a lot of what you said. It's like, you're gonna eat this, you're gonna pay for it later, you know. So I know that because Dave said to me in um an audio that he sent to me when I did my social type is sleep is making sure you don't make the same mistake again in the future. So in our case, because it's SF sleep, it's like sometimes it's like how we feel, especially the food can affect how we feel too, right? So for me, I like to eat ice cream and cake, right? So then I'm like, oh, you're gonna pay for that later, you know. So
Yeah,
totally get your perspective in that. Other thing too is I didn't know you're Filipino. I thought you were Hispanic maybe.
yeah,
Um,
I get it all.
but I'm born in Philippines, so I like
Yes,
I can understand where you're coming from with that. I don't think you're I think the Filipino culture, they like to like shove food to you, be like, hey, eat this, keep eating, you know. So I can see that part of it, with that part of the culture kind of like being like, they're like, you know, maybe they'll feel insulted if you don't eat what they eat because like, they just want you to eat this. But at the same time, also it's like you didn't ask for it. So it's like that kind of deal, right?
correct.
Um, but so dude, we got 5 minutes left in the interview, and I want to make this a more play for this last 5 minutes.
Okay, okay.
So do you have any questions specifically for that like last 5 minutes that you want to ask? Because I think you made a note, like a post-it or something. You're so IJ, man. Like you're so controlled. Like you had like everything organized. So yeah, for
I
everyone to know, he has like before the interview, he organized all this stuff already. Like, but anyways, yeah, dude. Like, and yeah, for those watching this, like Zuriel did ask, like, hey, let's do play at the like a part of the interview. So I'm like, okay, dude, here's your controlled play window.
yeah, I guess no, I I feel like I don't know, this is gonna be so I don't know if I have any questions. But I do want to say I watched your interview with Hannah more recently, And there was a part where you went, I have a note. So when you went off about double masculine sleep, I also have double masculine sleep, and I also want to go off and, fuck you the tribe in a way where it's like you have no idea, bitch. You just fucking wait. Where you were describing, I think you were like people in your life. And so for me, being leadified masculine sleep is going to take me forever to get there, since I always have to get my FI on board. But when I do, it's going to be so sweet. And so, can you help me how to understand what it's like for you? Just is that like the pushy like shoviness of the DIOI or something, or is it the introverted nature of the DIOI against the tribe? Essentially, I'll show you by doing it my way. I guess in my case, the masculine FIOI is an IP sleep would just be way more confident, I guess, and susceptible to self-hate and low confidence, or after I realized I was confident in something I was wrong. I don't know the connection there, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I related to what you said when you were talking about that. And from a sleep aspect, from a concept aspect, like what I mean, is that kind of the essence of it? That like that demon tribeness, I'm gonna do it, like you just wait, and that is associated with the sleep?
Are you asking about your type or my type? I'm confused now.
Well, I just when you were talking about, I think you mentioned like the SF sleep. So I guess I'm not asking about your type, but more of just like I related to what you say, and we're Delta. So it's like even though you're not me, like you were still like, oh, these guys, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna do this. And so I was just like, I wasn't sure if that was like a like because you have masculine FI as well, right?
Yeah, dude, we have exactly the same sexual modalities for our animals. Like we both have double masculine SF sleep. So it's just like yours is in the front, mine's in the back, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest difference for both of us, and also being an observer versus a decider, is for me because I'm a double decider, um, having being DE, right, being tribe above self. Um, I've always felt like I've done everything for other people, but I
Mm,
don't feel like, and I also have demon flex being a number two, right?
mm,
So it's a combination of social type and animals and my actual type. So basically, for me personally, it's like doing the anti play. Hey, you know what? Tribe comes first, and I'm gonna let the tribe um you know just do their thing, like
mm.
in a very feminine state, and I'm gonna get pushed around, and eventually that FI gets like charged up, right? Like that feeling of like, hey, no one is looking at me. Hey,
I
no one's
see.
acknowledging me. No one's recognizing me. I need respect. All like that FI stuff starts building up, starts stacking, right? And then eventually it gets like really like that feeling of like it's not so much resentment, but like not being seen is
Yeah.
it's charged up
Yeah.
to the point where it's like, you know what? Fuck all of you. It's my
Yeah.
it's my turn now. I'm gonna take
Yeah.
my share of the pie, and I don't give a fuck if you don't like it or not, because
Yeah.
I'm taking it, and you can't stop me because I'm like you don't know how strong I really am, you know.
For
Um,
sure.
but the thing is, I'm a double decider, so it does come across as very aggressive, but it's not like it's gonna fall off the cliff still, kind of like how you guys, the decider, would do it. Because I will definitely go all in that sleep DI land, all in. I will definitely step on a lot of people's toes. The thing though is I'm the DE here, right? So the thing is, people are often shocked when it happens.
Mm,
At least the first time it happens. The second time it happens, it's kind of like, oh, maybe we should be not like maybe we should like the tribe kind of learns like, hey, we should balance this with Kendrick better. I mean, as I get older, it's getting easier, right? Like I'm toning down that because I went on a massive double masculine SF sleep spree not too long
mm-hmm.
ago. So now I'm like I think there's like a sweet spot here somewhere that I need to learn when it comes to like
Sure.
the tribe, like okay, it's like yes, it's good to try it like all aggressive, but at the same time, like maybe there's like another way, like that kind of like
Yeah.
that's where I am right now. I'm like maybe there's another way because I just finished the rampage, the double masculine SF sleep rampage, right? So for me, I'm like thinking, I'm like maybe there's another way actually. So I'm trying to think of like a way to experiment with it, and so I'm watching a lot of like I watched some Owen Cook videos on this because he has double masculine
Mm,
SF sleep also, and like he's
okay.
talking about like the NF vibe and stuff, and like how that like affects the social hierarchy and whatnot, and like so I'm using that now to think about like thinking about like maybe I need to lean more now, not so much on that double masculine SF sleep, and also not on the double feminine NT play, but more on the NF consume. like the vibe, because like
Yeah,
there's more than one. You don't have like because like for the longest time, because it's crazy because like for us the SF sleep is our identity, and
yeah,
then the anti play is the tribe, how we deal with tribe. Those are our decider animals, right? And then for both of us, like I have a lot of decider things happening to me because I have those like you. I have those in the first and the fourth, right?
sure,
And we're both
sure.
balanced in the observer stuff. Even though I'm an observer, I don't have as much observer problems as the average observer, right? But then and the more I watch like other Delta Quadrant people like moving through life and like hearing what they have to say, the more
Yeah,
I'm realizing I'm like, why am I not using the NF consume? Like there's this thing, there's another thing here. And then
right.
NF consume is all about your vibe and about like, and that's why when I was interviewing like the other energy dom version of our Delta Quadrant, I was like listening to them talk, right? And they keep talking about vibing, right? I'm like, what the heck is this vibing shit? Right? Like, what is this vibing shit that you're doing? I mean, I have NF, so it shouldn't be missing. I should be able to vibe with people. You have a third also, so we should be able
Right,
to vibe, right? I'm like,
right, right.
there's another thing here that I'm like, I need to learn, like this vibing stuff. I'm like, there's something to
Yeah,
this, and it's energy dom, like because we're both info dom, so we're gonna have the same issues, right?
yeah,
It's like a little bit aggressive when it comes to the decider stuff because it's like because we're not doing the energy dom vibing stuff, right? So
yeah.
I'm like, so I feel like for us, the solution to the tribe stuff energy dom stuff, which is like using the energy dom stuff, aka
Sure.
vibing, aka vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
like,
so
yeah,
so
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, for me it's where that vibe really comes out is like at weddings or whatever, because that's where the dancing like comes out for me, and I just go, and that's where the vibe is, and I think that's where I really see it for me. And I want to say too, where I think what you were saying, where it's like um you're focusing on the tribe first, and then and it always seems a surprise to the tribe, at least at first. I think for me, what I was trying to figure out is because I identified with it, but I think I'm just doing that in a savior state
Yeah,
all
you're
the
doing
time.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
for
you're also an
speaking.
IP, so like you're not seeing the tribe's perspective. So that's where the challenge comes. And dude, like your info dom, I would leverage that if I were you. And
Yeah.
also, um, just like a little practice of using play, just ask the tribe. Sometimes you just ask them a direct question, and you know,
Yeah. In
just be like, hey,
in
I want
the
to be a better friend or a better coworker. I know it sounds kind of weird, but hey, I'd love to try. And everyone loves the person that's trying. So
yeah.
like
Yeah,
when people are trying, you see them as like the hero of the story, right? So
sure, sure. Yeah, in the ops doc, that was some snippets I put in there to understand my type, was I started asking questions to my wife about how I am, and she let me know like I don't think you're selfish. I don't think, but like a lot of your decisions are like benefiting you or what you want to do. And so that really I was open to that and put that in perspective. And that again helped me kind of triangulate onto what type I
yeah,
was. So
that's awesome, dude.
yeah.
I'm glad you did
Yeah.
that. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I guess the final frontier is the vibing stuff. But anyways, dude, I have to end this
Yes.
interview
Yes.
now. But it was a real pleasure talking to you, and
Thank you.
I definitely love to have you back in the future. Maybe
For
even
sure.
panel interviews if you're open to it. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, and I'll give you a heads up too before we do it. I know you're OI, so I'll give you
Sure.
time to prepare and whatnot. Don't worry.
Yeah. 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 No,
Um,
yeah, I had a lot of fun, man. This has been a long time kind of like dream. I think I said in an email to you before, so being able to make this,
right.
I really appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, take care, and we'll see you around next time.
All right, man. See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.